is today we have a woman who I seriously, I mean, when I think of an acting teacher, I think of this woman. I mean, she is one of the best, if not the best, not just in LA, but everywhere. I mean, she travels to New Mexico, she goes here, she goes there, and not just being one of the best teachers around, she is an actress and a superb one. She's been in Animal Kingdom. She's been in My Name is Earl with her honey, Frank. The Romanovs, Laura Gardner.
David Zimmerman.
I
know.
Sometimes I get a little schmaltzy and sometimes I don't, but it comes from the heart though, because I seriously, I mean, I don't know, how long have we known each other?
At least it's got to be 20, almost 30 years, I think. No, 20, maybe about 27. It's possible about 27 years.
But I'm only 26.
Oh, darling. And I'm only 27.
Oh! We started when we were in...
Yes, in diapers.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And I love when we used to teach together once in a while.
We had a wonderful time, and we need to do that again, for sure.
But when did you start acting? When did you want to first start acting?
I really knew I wanted to act right from the beginning, and I might have told you this before, but I was a very fat little girl. I was a fat girl until I hit my 20s, actually, my mid-20s. But I was a bad liar. I thought I was a good liar, but I lied about the food I stole and ate. But I also was, but I was a good singer, and I loved music, and I would find pianos, and I would sound out songs, and I would sing. And I also, this all will make sense, I'm a twin, and my twin is very small, and I was never small, as I said. So we were in Camp Benan, I think it was Camp Benan, some camp. And we were the Lollipop Kids, two of the Lollipop Kids in The Wizard of Oz. The Lollipop Kids. And so that was one of my very first shows. And I just was smitten, and I just wanted to act. And I was relentless. I did also learn how to play the piano, but it was just so clear. And I come from a family where my father's mother had been a singer, a pop singer, and when she married my grandfather, he had been a semi-pro baseball player. He gave up playing semi-pro baseball, and she stopped singing. And there was also a cousin who was an opera singer. So I came from a side of the family that was in the industry, and there were some other people in the industry, but it wasn't that foreign. But I knew I wanted to sing. That was sort of secondary because it was more about acting. I had to act. I was driven. I was, and I think that in retrospect, a lot of the things, and David and I have lots of conversations about this, is that I had the need to get away from who I was. I didn't like who I was, and I loved playing different people, and I loved the applause, and I loved playing different roles.
Is that why you liked acting a little than singing? Because singing came more from you, and acting you could hide? Or am I putting words in your mouth?
I strangely thought that singing was too easy, and that acting was more work. And in my training, so anybody who is training to be a singer as well as an actor, even though I did have some training as a singer, I did some damage to my vocal cords ultimately, because I didn't take the singing training seriously enough, and I did some real damage to my vocal cords. while I was doing some of my biggest jobs.
Mm.
So, and I did, and I still was able, thank God, to do some big musicals in spite of that. And so I never take for granted the gifts that were given. And
Hmm.
so I always knew that I wanted to act. I always knew whether it was, I mean, ultimately it was just, I believe that we're given these uh, um, gifts, and we're given a direction by something greater than ourselves, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But I never had a doubt. If somebody asked me what I wanted to do, it was to act and to sing. And um, and that's the deal.
Yeah. And when did teaching come into the plan?
I always say teaching came in when I started to try to control people, which was very young. But but it really started about 16 or 15 when I was working at camps, and I started to work with kids, and I started to teach them to do different things and to teach, so I started to teach drama at camps. And then I was very lucky. I first went to Boston University, and then I transferred to Rutgers, and part of Rutgers. And when I got into the graduate program, I was under, it was Jack Benbender was a wonderful chairman of the department, and he sent me to Carol Rosenfeld, who's still teaching at HB
Mm.
Studio, and she ended up running the program at Rutgers, and so I was trained under her and trained to teach properly. And so I was teaching undergraduates, and I really trained to be a teacher as well. And then I moved into New York, and so I was really teaching. And also I just was a born teacher. And so my singing teacher in New York, who I was training with after the vocal damage, she also started having me train people as singing too. I finally stopped teaching singing because I felt there were people that were more right to teach singing. And I just felt that there's, as an acting teacher, that I feel that I have, having come through the fire,
Right.
and I have a gift. I feel that I really see people and I see who they are,
Hmm.
and I have the ability to, with kindness, touch them and be able to help them to come to a place of acceptance and truth, and then to be able to express themselves in a way that really helps them to connect the dots to the work and to themselves so they can really bring themselves authentically to the work.
And that's why you are one of the best, because you help people and you allow them to bring out the real them. Um, and Yeah, if we have, I mean, we have all the actors watching today from Performing Arts Studio West and Meet the Biz and YouTube Land. If you if somebody was going to say, what are three top pieces of advice for actors, what would come to your mind?
Okay, first, I want to say, as much as I adore you, David, I'm not one of the best, so I just want to say I'm just one of the ones, one of the many. We're many. You're a fabulous teacher too. So
Oh,
I don't walk around going I'm one of the best teachers in the world. I just think that, um, uh, and I think I think that having worked a long time under a lot of different teachers now, and I was with the Howard Fine Acting Studio for over 19 years, that I am my acting, and I've always had my acting along with my teaching. And so I never became the Laura Gardner Acting School, never became Laura Gardner Acting School, because I've always wanted to have my acting as well as my teaching. And I haven't felt the need to have my name on the marquee as a teacher. I just like to do what I do. But I think the three most important things for an actor or humanoid would be to really feel as if they showed up when they're there.
yeah.
As you show up when you're at the audition, when you're doing the work, that you feel as though you have fully committed and brought that you're able to feel as though you absolutely uh, can accept that you've explored and enjoyed the ride,
Mm,
that you can let it go when you walk out instead of beating yourself up. I mean, there's so many top three.
mm.
Um,
We don't have to stick to
yeah, I don't. What was the question?
three. What if you had advice to give to actors? What would they be?
Well, first, I think everybody needs to train. I think you need to take this seriously. That there are all those people out there that are think that they are owed a living for whatever. That I can do that. That I think training is of utmost importance. I'm back in class. I'm really thrilled to be. I mean, I've always been working with a terrific coach Scott Harland, for my singing, and he's also an acting coach. He's fabulous.
Mm.
And I've done some work with Carol periodically, Carol Rosenfeld. But
Well,
I
I
also
and plus Uta Hagen.
well, Uda Hagen was my teacher a gazillion years ago, but she's been gone for a long time. But I wasn't in an acting class for a long time. But now I've been taking a class with Austin Pendleton again in New York, which has just been a riot on Zoom. And I did a show with him and almost 30 years, 40 years ago. And so I leapt into a Zoom class with him, and it's just been extraordinary. And when Frank Collison is my husband, and we've been going to Alaska for the last 13 years to a theater conference, playwrights conference. And while I'm there, I usually do some workshops. Not only do I teach there, but I take some classes there. And I was lucky enough to do a workshop with Marshall Mason and Danny Irvine from Circle Rep, which Austin had also worked with. And so right now we're doing a Lanford Wilson scene study class, which is on Zoom, which is just phenomenal. And I'll be doing a class with Jessica Hecht, who has won a lot of awards and is a wonderful actress. So to be able to continue studying no matter what right now at my age, because I just know that I don't have all the answers, and that for a teacher needs to keep training. An actor needs to keep training. I'm constantly busy. I mean, this whole pandemic thing is just horrifying. And during this time, I'm working on a webisode. I'm very grateful. Working on a webisode. I'm getting ready to do a Shakespeare thing. That is, I can't say anything about it, but because it's being announced tomorrow. But you can go onto my timeline, befriend me, or go onto Laura Gardner at the real Laura Gardner Instagram. I can announce it tomorrow. I'll be doing a Shakespeare thing. I can't say exactly what it is, but I'm doing that. I am doing a fabulous project called Marilyn, Mom, and Me, where I'm playing Eileen Heckert to Luke Yankee, Eileen's son, about Marilyn Monroe and Eileen, her relationship with Marilyn Monroe and her relationship with Luke Yankee. And so to me, working all the time is one of the greatest things that I can do. And if I don't have a job acting, then I make sure that I'm involved with other people who are creative and are working on something. And I don't wait for my agent or my manager. And if I don't have an agent or a manager, I get involved with a theater company, or I get involved with some other people. So in New York, you can walk down the street. I'm a New Yorker, strange enough. But in LA, if you don't have that, you get on the phone to other people, you find other people. And certainly with this pandemic, you get on the phone and call people you know and say, hey, let's do a Zoom reading.
Mm.
Let's see what classes we can take. And I've been teaching 2 classes for clients at Gail Williamson's clients at KMR. And then I have a Tuesday night class that I've been teaching for my regular students. So I just feel this is when there's nothing happening, it's up to the actor, it's up to the artist to make something happen. So we're not sitting going, oh, me, there's nothing going on. Why isn't my agent do anything? I'm so depressed.
Mm.
Because an artist does not have to be sitting around going, there's nothing going on. Or write, do something. Or the other part is do something for someone else. Because the other part of it is I believe actors and artists are just like addicts. We have this thing where we should be a star or we're a horrible human being.
Mm,
And so one of the best things that we can do is to make sure that we're doing something for other people to really support our self-esteem. What
mhm,
can we do? And I think part of our job as actors is to tell the story and to really feel as though we're part of mankind, that we're really part of the solution of making it a better world.
mm.
That's a lot I just said. Blah, blah, blah. But I do
No,
I believe it. You
it's
know?
everything you said was like, that's the thing about whether taking your class or sitting with you with, for coffee. I learned so much from you. And what you said there as well is you are continuing to learn yourself. So everybody goes out there, they take the classes, they can teach, they can, but that's what you do. You teach, you act, you still sing. You said you still take your singing class. I was thinking when you mentioned that too, I so picture you in master class. Have you thought of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I haven't. I would like to do that. I have not done that, but
Oh
I
my
would like
God,
to do that.
you would blow the socks off that character.
Yeah. Well, thank you, David.
Yeah,
There's many things I'd like to do.
yeah. Well,
You'll
what?
see me do Eileen Heckert.
Uh, I look forward to that.
That will be live streamed. David will let you know when it'll be starting May 7th. There'll be 4 performances. It will be a benefit for the Actors Fund, and there will be 4 live stream performances. David will let you know where and when.
Definitely, definitely. Will it be posted on your website as well?
Yes, it certainly will.
Okay, all right. We'll post the website.
Yes.
It's lauragardner.org.
LauraGardner.org. It's org because some person who sells flowers took the com, and that's what my webmaster did. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, what is your biggest dream?
World peace, a different president. Um, um, that a dream for the world. Um, it's it would be so nice for people to be um, to come to a place of self-acceptance, and I certainly know that for me, if I don't go into a whole general big thing about it, it would be so nice for, I mean, David knows this, everybody. I have been wanting so much to have a place that was around Hollywood that was accessible for actors with disability, I'd love a huge studio space. So if anybody is out there with money, that was in the Hollywood area that could be what you guys have in Inglewood, but had a studio space when all this is over, that also had a working studio where we could be shooting stuff, that it was for able-bodied, disabled people, writers, everybody. That was Gail, and we were all involved, that we could really there's so many people that are wanting to create now, and that there's going to be, when things start to be going, there's going to be so much work,
Yeah.
there's going to be so much available. So you all need to be ready. So I would love for, that's really what I would love to happen. And God knows, my fantasies of my fantasy always was to have a house in the country. And I mean, my fantasy when I was a kid, house in the country with my dog. I mean, I lost my just 2 dogs a couple of years ago, and I lost my mother last year, and it was not the easiest of years. But I'm glad my mother didn't have to deal with this. Uh, I'm really happy she didn't have to deal with this. But to have a theater and somewhere, and I'd love to be on a series that I could support that theater, and a role that I felt was really said a lot about mankind, and a strong woman that was nurturing, a kind of Allison Janney, Laura Gardner
Yeah.
mix. Jean Smart, Susan Sullivan, you know, I'll work for cheaper, everybody. And that with that money, I could be putting it into helping people get more work that should be seen. And because I know David and I were out there fighting for actors with disability 20 years ago when it wasn't so cool. And I would go in and audition. As I remember going into studios and casting offices and saying, you know, thanks for seeing me, but I know these actors and they're blah, 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 blah. And they looked at me and they were absolutely cross-eyed and they thought I was out of my mind. And flash forward 15 years and look what has happened. I will say, though, really important, that I went into a casting office about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned this to the woman, and the first thing was, you tell those actors with disability that they got to get their self-taping skills up because they're all shooting far away and we can't see their faces.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell those people. I almost said something to her about those people, but if you're out there shooting, you guys from, you're obviously, it's not the people who are working with David, but anybody who's watching the show, look on the YouTube for those things about self-taping. Get your camera, your iPhone, so it's this way, it's not that way, this way, and get a cloth that's a little wider than the one I had behind me, and shoot that close. They want to see your faces. They don't, well, you can't be too far away so they can see your expressions, because this was Wendy O'Brien said she couldn't see people's faces and she was very frustrated. So that's a real, you really want to make sure that you have some room and some good, you know, I have a big, fabulous light on this side. This is, you know, this is a little toy here. And it's not a great light, but I'm not shooting this. I'm just doing a Zoom thing. This is just a stand-up light. But you can, they have really cheap stand-up lights now that you can get on, you know, I saw it on Instagram and on Facebook, that will work. So just get that set up so you're in, oh, we're running out of time. So just get yourself set up for self-taping.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here, and
Thank you.
Thank you for, you know, I always say, I went to this teacher once and he said, I want you to take from me for 5 years. I don't want you to audition, but I don't think you should go to anybody else. And it was like right away, I knew that wasn't for me. And what you described today is we learn from each other and we grow from each other. And when I have somebody, you know, who comes to me and I say, you know what, I think it's time that you go to Laura Gardner, you go to this person or that person, and grow. You grow and learn from everyone.
Oh, I love you, David Zimmerman, and what you do for the community and what you do for your actors is phenomenal, and your selflessness and your humor and your heart is just, you know, huge. And we're lucky you're in this world,
Oh,
and you know that. So I'm very
family.
grateful. Huh?
It's family.
Yeah, yeah, it's family. So I love you, and thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.